Hello! Welcome to the full moon. The pink full moon in Libra. So I'm hilaryHraefnPorter, Tamiana Starseed Oracle and Ascension Guided Mentor. And I figured it's been a while since I've done one of these. I've been doing them on my own, here and there. But it's been a while since I've been like, hey, let's do a poll, for one of the celestial events that's happening, which is this full moon. So the desire, the urge, the sensation came in after coming back from a chiro appointment this morning. So yes, there's something with consistency, but there's also something with this is the moment, this is the now to do this thing. And we can create that sensation, or create the because we can create the opportunities. But there's a difference between creating the opportunity and still being present for the opportunity versus creating the opportunity and just going through the motions but not actually being present. So you're physically going through the motions, you're physically doing the work, but you're not embodied with the sensation. You're not actually present, you're disembodied. Right? What's the opposite of embodied? The opposite of embodied is disembodied. Which means your body's going through the motions. You're like, I lit this candle, I did this thing, I have this incense, I'm pulling this card. But your mind is completely somewhere else. And you're like, well, I have to do it because today is the full moon. I have to do it because it's the eclipse. Or like, these are the days that I just have to do them. And yes, those power days add to the amplification, add to the vortex of possibilities. But it's not a requirement. And if it's just becoming, you're doing something by rote and you're just doing something by automaton, stop for a while. Or figure out what needs a little change. This has to do with our surroundings as well. I'm known for every 3 to 4 months being like, let's change the living room around. Let's change this room around. Let's change the bedroom around. Can we change this around? Because it shifts the energy, it moves the energy, it allows us to see things that we couldn't see before. In the space of actual physical objects, we find things under the bed. We sweep up, we clean out the dust in the corners, but that's the same thing energetically. We find patterns or we find habits that we're like, oh, I didn't realize I was doing that, or oh, that's the thing underneath. Whenever we move something can be hidden because we've moved it in front of it, or something can be exposed because we've moved something out of the way. That's also within our body. So chiro, we can often think of chiropractic adjustments is just like, oh, I just moved my physical structure. But what is being held within the fluid around that physical structure? What is being held within that physical structure itself? Bones hold major memory. We have the synovial fluid. And then we have the cerebral spinal fluid. So whenever there's blockages and things open, or if something is holding stuck, we can have this release. I notice this a lot when I go to chiro. Currently working on, got some frozen shoulder happening. It's been happening for a little while, and slowly working with that, and also within the neck space. Because, we're connected. It's not just only work here. Where are all the other parts that's connected to? That can be the route into that, right? And today had a big realization on the way home. So my root system, meaning the spaces where a lot of my things stem from, and this is for a lot of people as well, but speaking in general for me, because my nervous system, including my digestive system. And there was this big realization today in me of how far back it stems into my childhood. For the level of connection and touch that I needed to soothe. Some of us we have a natural resting state, and my natural resting state is naturally, my nervous system runs a bit higher, and it needed more touch within childhood to help soothe that. And so I didn't actually really understand what soothing was. Yeah. what it felt like to have that soothing, then that creates the patterns and the shifts and the adjustments. And the point of this is that unlocking in my neck today was like that unlocking of that memory of, oh, that's my nervous system heightened, needing soothing. But what does soothing feel like? And this is why a lot of our stuff stems from childhood. Because those are the formative years of this is what I know as my encoding. And as we continue to do the consciousness work, we continue to uncover these encodings. And we are able to change these encodings. We are able to transmute them. We're able to integrate them. We're able to say, hey, this isn't the way that it only has to be. These are the other ways that you can find soothing, solace, empowerment, remembrance of being completely who you are, not based on these layers, but your original source code of what you came in with, before all the layers got layered in. And you're like, oh yeah, this is what this is what nourishes me. This is what I'm like. I am like. Yeah, makes sense. So, I digress. But that's what I love about these sharings, is it's not just one-dimensional. Even when we're in the fifth dimension, it's not just one-dimensional. Because we're a human. But we're having a human experience. Spirit having human experience. Yep, thank you. So, today, coming home from Cairo, it was like, it's time. Let's pull this. So what's been going on with this full moon? So it's the pink full moon. It's also known as breaking water ice. Because this is the time in the indigenous communities where it was noticing this is when the water started breaking up and there was flow happening. And it was like, oh, okay, this level of the next cycle is here. And what I've been noticing, what I've been seeing a lot within the healing space, within the Star Temple, and even within myself, there's been a lot of breaking of water. In the sense of a lot of emotion, a lot of tears. And this is a full moon. So full moon is very full, big expression. And the moon's all about the water. Emotions. Lots of emotions. And full emotions. So I've been seeing this a lot. In clinic, people coming in and being like, I've been so emotional. Like, or as I call it sometimes, I've been a big marshmallow. Right? They're like, I've been really squishy. I've been feeling very vulnerable. And just like, the tiniest thing can make me in tears. Everything from something that's beautiful and feels like joy to this situation that I was in that was very stressful, or this thing that I saw on Facebook that was sad, or, right? So a lot of the feeling and a lot of the emotion. So there's a lot of, quite a few people, have that stamping down, right? Like, don't show your emotion. And again, going back to childhood, of what mechanisms did you have in place for survival as a child? Maybe there was an abusive parent, or there was a parent with addictions, or maybe it was from a generation where the parents were just really busy. Or how they learned to parent was the children are seen and not heard. So what coping mechanisms? And a lot of those coping mechanisms and those protection mechanisms are don't be seen, don't be heard, protect your emotions, don't talk about your emotions, whether or not it's anger, sadness, blah, blah, blah. So as we start uncovering these layers, there can be big emotions. So it's not unheard of for me to have a being come in and go, lots of big emotions since the last time I saw you. And it's that bubbling up. If we think of bubbles going, right? And so it's bubbling up to the surface. and then breaking open, and then it's like, oh, there's that piece that I had in that bubble stored way down and within. And it can be a lot of bubbles, hence the like whoosh, emotion, right? And then you pair that with the celestial events that are happening. I do this because that's where my window is. And the celestial events up in the sky. Right? So it's in Libra. So I'm not an astrologer, but just a couple of the things that I read. So, you know, Libra is about balance. In our relationship with others. So what's coming up for you around that stuff right now? What kind of balance are we holding? Because there is like also big emotion, and we don't want to be stuffing it back down, right? Looking at it, allowing it, saying, hey, thanks for the messaging. I see you. And also not allowing the emotion to completely take over our life, right? When it runs us to the point where we're not functional, that's when we have to take a look, because there's a difference between I had a huge surge and a huge release and a huge purge, and maybe, you know, you're down on the floor and your head's in your hands and you're crying and it's this huge like, and it's cathartic and you're like, there it goes, and you're like, okay, and then it feels complete and you feel for that moment, and then you feel more clear and whole, right? And you're just like, oh, okay, I'm here, I'm more present. You often feel more tall, everything, like even your vision is clearer, versus having that, but then it continues and continues and continues and continues, and you're just like, I can't seem to get out of this. So that's the emotions running you versus it being used as a tool, as a clarity. Emotions don't always have to have a purpose. That's not what I'm saying. We can feel an emotion, be like, I'm feeling this. I feel sad. I feel angry. But it's when it takes over and you become not able to function within your life because of it that another look needs to happen. So what I love about kids, you'll be, especially the super young ones, they'll go through an emotion. Like, you'll be like, you just went through every emotion. It's like thousands of emotions. Like, you just went through every emotion in the last 5 minutes. Because it's like processed through. It's once it's not allowed to be processed, like, no, that's not what you're feeling. Or you're fine when they're upset. It's like, you're fine. And they're like, no, I'm actually having a moment. But then they learn to suppress it. That's where the challenges start coming in as humans. Yeah? So I digress. Okay, that's emotions. But let's see what the cards have to say. So this is the surrendering, allowing, and allowing expansiveness, being expansive. Instead of being like, oh, even when we're like in the sadness space, being like, right? Allowing that heart, and it's tender. It's vulnerable. It's like peeling a band-aid off your heart. I can't even imagine. Peeling a band-aid off the skin is hard enough. But, and I can't imagine, because every time we peel that band-aid off, we peel that layer off, it's like, ooh, that's tender. And that's where the sweetness lies too. Okay, cool. So what are we using today? We're going to be using the Hawaiian Oracle. This is my kidlet's favorite oracle. So this oracle, we're gonna dive into the book as well after we pulled the card. It talks about the challenge, the way through, and then what the like beauty is on the other side. Oh, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right. It's in Hawaiian. Ao, and it's the puffin. Look at that. It looks like a full moon. A full moon with a puffin in the moon. Let's find this guy. Oh. Well then. Okay, ready for this? The challenge is birth. We were just talking about being exposed. being vulnerable. What are we when we're born? When we're going, as we're doing the consciousness work, we're constantly being rebirthed. There's not just one rebirth. We're not just like, I'm done, I'm here. No, because we're reborn, and then we go through the growing phase of that layer, and then we get to that end of that layer, and there's like a little mini death and a little mini grieving, maybe a big grieving. And then we're reborn into the next layer of ourselves. I also don't know how many of you are dealing with these allergies because the season's going, hi, I'm here. Just kidding. Hi, I'm here. Just kidding. And so it's like, ha, ho, ha. Anyways, scratchy throat. So the challenge is birth. The way through is transformation. We talk about surrender. Transforming that layer of ourselves, transforming that intensity into clarity, into knowledge, and into gratitude of thank you and no thank you. I don't need that anymore. Or I need that. Let's keep that going. And then the gift is joy. So I don't usually read the imagery, but let's read the imagery here because it's beautiful. Ao is held in a transformative swirl of violet light. Her egg bursting forth in the burrow below her. The birth, oh, that's beautiful. Her calm eyes looking towards a new beginning. A chick, a new element of spiraling light, is coming to Earth today. What newness do you feel within you? What sprout do you feel growing within you? That's like when we have a project or an idea or a sensation and we can feel it right down below our belly button, below our navel, just above our pubic bone, and it's that sense of yearning, that sense of potential. What sits within that seed for you? So this interpretation, you're about to give birth to a baby or project. I am not pregnant. Or a project, which I on my end, I'm birthing a lot of stuff right now. More events coming, workshops, gatherings. But what kind of project do you have going on with you? Is it a personal project? Is it a business project? Is it an art project? Is it just something new that you're like, I'm so excited, I'm moving the room around? This special child of a special bird will bring joy to the world. Ao is the only seabird living in Hawaii that stays there to breed, bringing wisdom from the great light in a suit that marks her out as a lively, colorful soul. So this project, continue with it. It is here to bring joy. And it's easy. We sometimes when we start a project and we're like, yeah, and then it gets a little challenging, or we get curious about something else and we're like, how about this project? Let's start this. But without that completion, there is no sense of joy in the sense that can happen, in the feeling that can happen when we complete it. The joy doesn't always have to be like, oh, it was the best thing ever, and look at this. It can just be the sense from the consciousness of the liver being like, oh, completion. That cozy joy versus that like extravagant, elated joy of just like, oh, that feels whole and complete, which is a sense of joy. Yet her behavior is circumspect, issuing from the inner heart and mind. This card blesses those who aspire to a high profile in the world as well as a happy private life. So a really good plant right now, a really good plant medicine, plant spirit to connect into would be reishi, Ganoderma lucidum. Again, if you have any medical conditions or allergies or anything like that, check in with somebody to see if reishi, so a professional, if reishi is actually good for you, because lots of amazing herbs out there. Not every herb is good for every being. Regardless of if they're like, this is amazing for this. Yes, but is it right for your makeup? But reishi, the reason why right now, it makes sense. And I'm talking like just a pinch. If you're doing, so the powder's coming in, using the powder and just doing like the tiniest little pinch, it's energetic. That connects the heart-mind axis. So there's not that blockage here of, oh my goodness, I'm too much in my mind. I don't even know what my heart is saying. Or I feel my heart, but I can't really follow that. Or vice versa, you're only going by your heart, but we need a little bit of logic in there too. Or some stuff doesn't get done because you're like, but my heart says to go over here and do this. Yeah, but you need to pay the bills. So Rishi's going to help that heart-mind connection. They're also the grandfather. That grandfather that you really want to feel proud of you. Hi, titoga, si. Yeah? So what is this project that you're doing that this grandfather is going to be proud of you for? It's one thing we don't tell each other enough either is, I'm proud of you. Yeah? So the illumination, let's read this little guy. Puffin is a bird of the Au. Again, I apologize if I'm slaughtering the Hawaiian language. The borders, who lives on land and fishes in the sea. Nesting and fishing are on the borders. Heart, mind, border. Nesting and fishing are special parts of Eo's focus in life. You too have a unique opportunity to bed down with a particular project and take it through from incubation to completion, while continuing to fish for food. So this project isn't going to remove you so much from your daily life. It's going to be able to be integrated, and you're still going to be able to do the 3D as you're doing these other things. This project. It also means instruction or teaching. You have all the sources and resources you need, for your light within connects to the fruit of eggs of the puffin of joy. So new life comes to your land. Aha. So by planting these seeds, by doing these projects, allowing that egg to hatch and expand. There's joy. Even if there's no purpose. Okay? There's not always a purpose for I create. Sometimes purpose is just to create. Create that painting. Nobody's buying it. Maybe it's just going up on your wall, but there is just like, I'm just doing. And that's the joy in you. That's the spark in you. Okay? Because they have fun being illuminated under this full moon. As always, remember to take care of yourself. As always, remember to ask for what you need. Even from yourself. And allow what you need, even from yourself. And give the space for the stuff to integrate. Yeah? You do something, you feel something, they're like, next thing! Allow that space for integration. Okay, so much love and Stardust. Any questions or comments, please let me know. And whatever platform you're following or watching this on, I invite you to subscribe, follow along, wherever this is. IG, YouTube, Facebook, who knows? If you want to see more, do all those things. Follow, subscribe, and all of those things. And if you're looking for some one-on-one soul journey support, please reach out and I got you. Okay, so much love and Stardust. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.